We have conversations on this podcast with people who are a part of or on their way to being a part of the top 5% of individuals who dare to dream big and pursue their goals relentlessly. Today's 5% topic is all about an entrepreneur, real estate investor, and developer. Our guest, Noel, is going to share with us his journey of how he built success in the real estate industry and has been able to take it from Canada, where I'm from, and he's from originally, to now the dreamy Dominican Republic. And he's going to share his journey of how he's been able to do that through various successes and challenges, and how he's built all that he's built with intention to help you today so that you can learn from an expert who's done it successfully, how you can build as well. So today, welcome to the 5% podcast, Noel. And by the way, we are in the Dominican Republic.
Yes, we are. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Mi hermanos, mi hermanas.
Yes, and he's actually learning Spanish, which I've got to learn, right? So, Noel, welcome to the podcast, and thank you very much for hosting us. I'm excited to be here and to have you share with us your journey. I mean, some of it I know,
yes.
And some of it I don't. But just a little bit about you before we start. You are a speaker, an entrepreneur, an educator, and you have been able to even write a book, right?
Yeah.
Which I hope you're going to share with us today.
Yeah. Sure.
I only learned of that today, so
yes. Unraveling.
Yes, but that's what it's all about,
Yes,
so that we can teach others, right? And I mean,
right.
I've known you for a long time, but I didn't even know that you had a book, so I'm excited to hear more about that. But unlike some people, myself included, we weren't raised in entrepreneurial homes. You were, and that has absolutely inspired and enabled you to pursue private enterprises, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So I felt like what has brought me into this world, into entrepreneurial, is more that just desire to build my own freedom. But what outside of what your family has inspired you, why did you choose to continue or to begin in real estate, for example?
Okay. Well, first, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
Both on the 5% podcast and in the Dominican Republic.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. So, first of all, I got to give the initial credit to my mother in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit, because my mom is always, even though like she's always worked she's had a job, she's been a public health nurse and an educator and like a teacher and a vice principal, which is what she retired as. She always had something on the side, and so I was introduced to business through the world of multi-level marketing, MLM. And
many of us start that way. I think I started that way too.
You get the foundation,
Yeah.
and so my mom, I used to actually when she was with a company called Discovery Toys, and I was the demo kid. You know what I mean? Like this to help her move product. I'm still waiting for my commission check.
It's probably coming later. She's probably set it aside for you.
She says, "You're here, aren't you?" Okay. There you go. So but yeah, so I was interested. So my mom would, when I was like 8, 9, 10, she would be at these networking meetings, and so she would have me there with her, and so she would say, "Okay, you're gonna start one side of the room. I'm gonna start on the other side of the room, and we're gonna get as many cards as you can, talk to people, and then come and tell me what you learned."
Wow. And you did this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were her little employee? Demonstrator?
The lead generator.
Lead generator.
They call it bird dogger, you know what I mean? I used to, so I did that, and
Nice.
and my mom instilled me into leadership programs. But, in terms of why I chose to do it for myself outside of having that early introduction, when you're in that environment and you start getting into the books, because my first experience on my own volition was Amway, and they had they had this program called SOT, or standing order tapes. So you would get the Now I'm really dating myself.
That's okay. Some of our viewers and subscribers won't have a clue what Amway is.
So but yeah, it was one of the, to date, the largest network marketing company on the planet. And so I was part of the Jaeger organization and the Don and Ruth Storms group, and Andy and Deborah Vieira, all love to them. And so they encourage books, tapes, seminars, and rallies.
Yes.
And they had us listening to these audios of other people who succeed in the business, but also inspirational teachers. Like that's where I was introduced to Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn. You know, like those were, that's where I got introduced to the world of personal growth and development. It was through Amway. And then so when you're there and you start to listen and you're hearing all these different stories of other people who have, and what they've done with their lives, even beyond network marketing, because a lot of times people use that to get started, you know, and because business there's a science to it, and understanding people, understanding how to connect with people, understanding psychology of people, like all of those things. We got that, the education. Literally for free. Well, not for free because we had to pay for our kit, you know what I mean?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
But
No.
we
But it was a lot less expensive than post-secondary.
It was earned while you learned. Oh my God. The university? Oh my
it was a lot
God.
less
It's not
expensive.
even close.
Yeah.
So yeah, people complain about buying products.
And it's actually huge value in it too, right? What you're learning.
Value. And the connections and the friendships and the relationships that you develop with people, whether the opportunity works out or not.
Yes.
And I guess
it always works out in different ways though, I found. Yes.
Yeah. So I you know, that's where I got my real first start in my business education, Business 101. I mean, I had studied entrepreneurship in school, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean?
Book knowledge is totally different from people who are doing it, people who have done it.
Well, that was another thing. And I know that in this era, maybe it's changed somewhat, but back then, a lot of the people who taught business classes had never run a business. It was theory.
Still
and
is.
I guess, you know what I mean?
Still is.
I'm learning from people who are earning 6- and 7-figure incomes. Yes. And so now you're seeing what's possible.
They've done it. They've done it so that they can speak to it, and it's experiential speaking, right? Rather than just, like you said, theory.
You know something? I actually have to correct myself. Network marketing was not my first business experience. My first business experience was as a party promoter. And
Oh, so you were responsible for a lot of those dances I went to in Toronto?
Brampton. Specifically, Brampton. Yeah, well, actually, you know, it started out with mom again, because my mom was extremely strict. I'm talking strict to the point where school dance, you know, the school dance would start like at 4 o'clock and like this, and then it would go till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And, my mom, I'd have to be ready an hour early to leave. This is a school with teachers. With teachers, Mom.
Yeah, it was all supervised. There was eyes on us the whole time. And their parents as well, a lot of those teachers.
So, good God. Anyhow, she
was doing her job, Noel, she was.
But what created it actually was that I finally got up the courage to ask this girl to dance. And you know, back then, the slow jams, they didn't mix songs back then. No. They played the whole song. And so you get 3 or 4 of them, right? And so it was right at the time when my mom was there to pick me up, they started the slow set. And I finally got up the courage to ask this girl to dance. And so we're dancing. Like this, and I'm having a Leo DiCaprio moment. I'm king of the world. I'm excited. You know what I mean? I'm so excited. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder. I'm thinking it's one of my boys. So I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Get off me, man.
Mom made it into the dance.
My mom with rollers and her rope.
Oh my gosh.
Like this, I swear to God.
Oh no.
Like this, with rollers and a rope. Like this, you know, and I ran out of the cafeteria. Ran with everything I had. I get to the car and I'm like, Mom, what are you thinking? Like, what are you doing? Why would you come inside? She's, no, but the people at the front said the PA system wasn't working properly. I said, get somebody else to come get me. Like, why would you come? I said, Mom, if you were partying with your friends, you want your mom or your dad showing up to the party? Like, come
especially
on.
The way she did too.
I mean, in a robe, you know. So and she was like, no, but I and I'm just, oh my God.
No excuses.
Damage done.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Still dealing with therapy.
Could you?
Still dealing with therapy. So anyhow.
Oh, the damages.
So I just got fed up of dealing with that. You know, and so I said to Mom, I said, look, you won't let me go party. And you know, and if I am, then I have to leave. So can I have something at the house? Can I organize? Can you mind if I have some friends over at the house? Fine. Okay, great. So I invited, I think it was about 15 people, and then like 40 showed up, and my mom was like, "Whoa, not in the house." You know what I mean?
That's
like,
because the word spread.
The word spread.
It always does.
Yeah. So people came over to the house. You know what I mean? And then she went, there's a group called Cicero Cultural Club in Brampton. It was a Caribbean organization back in the day. And my mom was a part of that organization. And then they had a warehouse space, you know what I mean? And so she said, well, look, you can organize a party to them. She talked to them. I can't remember how much I charged. I think it was like $3 or $4 for the party, whatever, to get in.
Sounds
but
right.
We were expecting about 50 people, and almost 200 showed up.
Oh, wow.
It was my first time making money. I'm like, I'm rich.
Was 200 allowed?
Well, not really, but
but it's okay. But it worked out.
Everybody came in.
There was no moms on board to watch?
Well, I mean, it's the venue who's stopping. Like, there's a lineup. You don't want to have it's a bigger problem to cut the line and tell people no. That's when you get real problems at the door. You know what I mean, like this. And so everybody was in, had a party, had a good time, and then I did another.
And you made money.
Yeah, I made money my first time. I was like, holy shit. Like this, and then, well, pardon me, I don't know if it's the language thing. Sorry. Yes, and so then.
Not suitable for kids.
Sorry. So
okay.
So then I had another party, and you know, and honestly, it got to the point where we would get 2,000 people at a party. Student body presidents would call me. And they say, Noel, when are you having your next party? Because we don't want to have our school dance on the same night because their dance would flop. And then the club owners for Club 404 in Brampton back in the day.
I remember Club 404.
Sandra called me and she was like, hey, listen, you're doing all these big parties. Why don't you come and bring one? Because if I had a party, her place was flopped that night. It was done. You know what I mean? Like this. And so that and Club Eleganza downtown Brampton. So you know, that's where that was my first business experience. My first time making money, hiring people because I hired the football team to be security guards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And and so that was my first experience. You know, and actually remember Director X, you know, who makes the videos for Usher and Drake and all of them.
Wow.
I gave him his first flyer job back then. You know what I mean? Like Julian. Well, I'll just call. Director X.
Director X.
X,
Okay,
you know what
that's
I mean?
his name.
Yes. And so he was Little X back then. And yeah, he used to draw the flyers for my parties. So also marketing, promotions, getting the parties going, making money. That was my first experience making money in business. So then
Sounds like you were a natural.
So then, well, that came out of necessity because I couldn't handle being at the house with my mom's overprotective self. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was very frustrating, and so I had to create an opportunity. You know what I mean? And she supported me in.
Yes.
And she supported me in all of my business endeavors.
Yeah,
Mom is the best.
Thank you,
yes.
Mom.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So sometimes it's out of great devastation that great opportunities get created, right?
Yes.
So I went from being a laughingstock at school, having my mom show up with rollers, to being the most popular kid in school, having the best parties. You know what I mean? Like this.
Well, I think I'm not saying, right, that it was right that Mom did that.
Yes.
But it motivated and inspired you to do this.
Well, it was the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of saying I can do this and I can do something on my own. So then anyway, skipping forward, fast forward through university and in network marketing, and then I had my first sort of experience with outside of like that direct person-to-person business. My dad's company. My dad owned Guyana's first homegrown mining and exploration company, Barema Gold Corp. And I was working with him, but of course it's a family business. And so, you know, but during that period, it was my first experience beginning to understand the real crushing parts of where environment can impact your business. And so I was out trying to help him diversify his shareholder base, which is a totally different environment from the network marketing and then being a party promoter. And I'm in boardrooms now talking to financial analysts, and we're talking about them trying to create interest in the stock. You know what I mean? He was trading.
So did you have to get experience for this or
no,
training?
It was. I went with him to a couple of meetings, and then he says, "Okay, you got it." But okay, fine. Pick up the phones, go get the meetings.
Okay.
You know, so that but then the gold market got hammered because of the Bre-X scandal, and gold values plummeted. Everybody thought most of these deposits were now fool's gold deposits, and so there was a lot more scrutiny in the industry. Yeah. So my dad's company, if Bre-X hadn't happened, that company, that my dad had, if he was able to hold on to it, but after a certain point you just can't do it,
understood.
in today's terms would have been worth about $500 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Easy.
Wow.
Just on the deposits that he had alone.
Yeah.
You know, so, but again, it's life, right? Things happen. But you learn. So I had, the point is that I've had a number of different types of experiences with successes and failures, even with the parties. With the parties, it was because I started getting successful, there are certain people who didn't like that. And so they started to, and my parties were always very safe because my mom would work the door. She was doing the money. She's the only person I trusted with the money. And I wanted an environment that everybody could come to and feel safe. So the music was mixed. We had hip hop, but we also had house music, you know what I mean? And we had, so it was a very mixed crowd, you know, for everything. And then a couple of guys were sent over to one of the parties to start a fight. And then
strategic, they planted someone.
Yeah.
To help shut it down.
And then once you have one or two fights happen at some parties, the word spreads and people don't want to come and it doesn't feel safe.
That's
right. And so it was like, and then so ego went from here to here. You know what I mean? It got to the point where when I'm putting on parties that people put on their flyer, this is not a Noel party. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like this. Yeah. So it's like you learn humility too because it's something where.
So now your parties went from safe to this is not a Noel party because they were associating fighting with it, and
that, and of course, you know, you have a couple of. I also ran up against competition where some guys decided 3 of them would throw a free party the same night that I put on my party in Brampton, and
so they were just trying to shut you down.
So I was expecting 500 people at a party, and 150 showed up, and when you have a venue that holds 500, it's empty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah. And it doesn't create the same ambiance and feeling. And
so it was, but I think I needed those experiences because one of the things we need to learn is humility. Anything can change. And no matter how good things are going, you can get your ass whipped by anything. Anything can happen. So don't let your ego get out of control because my ego started getting it because I started believing the hype. People talking, oh my God, you're so cool, you're so great, this is nice. You start hearing all that stuff. And then, but I've learned early that people can be very fickle and you never go for the applause. You know what I mean? You go for what fulfills you in your heart and make sure that God is happy with it and that's it. Because at the end of the day, people can be with you one day and completely turn against you in the next. So I stopped looking for that aggrandizement from other people, I guess, and all that kind of stuff from people. So now I honestly don't care. What I care about is creating my masterpiece and doing what I have. And so everything that I do, when I would promote a party, it would be like, all these people are here because I made a decision. If I organize a step competition, people are there because I chose, and now they're coming in there vibing with my creation, you know, like this. And so that so it was more about creating something and then watching people come and appreciate that art. Because for me, the business is really art. You know, it's another form of art. You know, and so
but how do you move from this? Because I mean,
to real estate development.
Yeah, not just real estate development, but also you did coaching along the way too, and I believe that was in there somewhere with your real estate.
Right. Okay. So how we got to the coaching? When I was in Amway, I really enjoyed being at those whiteboards, drawing those circles, and working with people. But I most like the training days where I would be doing a training or somebody would be training me, and watching people get breakthroughs, watching people who are introverts become extroverts, watching people who didn't think that they could do it. Seeing people who were afraid of talking to people, now they're talking to people like this. You know, like this. Helping people to break through that. I loved that. You know, loved it. And I would look at guys like Les Brown, I'm looking at them and I'm like, how does he do this? Like, how do you run a business like this? Because you know, it's a different animal. I've never running that type of a business. So what I would try to do a little thing, you know, organize a little event, but for whatever, it didn't work out, and then I would stop. And then I would try another thing, didn't work out, and I would stop. And it was like, you know, the remix on that, right? And so, you know, and that start and stop, try and stop. And by the way, if there's one thing I can also say to anybody who watches this, you've got to focus on something.
Is this when you say that? Are you talking about your why or your purpose?
No, well, whatever it is that you're going for. A jack of all trades. Somebody says, "I'm a jack of all trades. I got this. I got that. I got that." You will. a general practitioner will never earn as much as a specialist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this, and and it's like, and I'm not saying, somebody said, well, but look at Oprah, she's got multiple businesses. That's not how she started. She mastered one first, and then with the money that she generated, she now could hire people to do other things and go do her pet projects. You know what I mean? Do the other things, their passion projects. You know, but you need to succeed with one thing first. You know what I mean? Get one thing, two max. Because it's hard. Like if you want to build anything we're talking about, it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to go through the 4 levels of competency. Unconscious incompetence, because you're looking at something and you're like, you think you know what you're doing, but when you start to try to do it yourself, you're like, oh shit, maybe I don't know how to do this. Then conscious incompetence. Now you recognize that you don't know and you got to try to now figure it out. Then there's conscious competence where you're doing it, but you have to think about it while you're doing it. Then you get to an unconscious competency level where you can do it without having to think about it, and it's like it's automatic to you. It's just who you are. You know what I mean? But for each time you start over, you have to go through those each time. I guess, and how much time does that cost?
I'm gonna have to re-listen to this episode to learn those.
From an opportunity cost standpoint, it costs a lot. So I was that person who was a dabbler. I was a professional dabbler, and so I was in this, and I was next thing, I'm in this, I'm in this, and then to the point where whenever you go to somebody, so what are you doing now? They're not asking you, how's that thing you're doing? What are you doing now? You know what I mean? And the truth is, people don't respect somebody who can't be steadfast with something. You know what I mean? You know, so at any rate. So, and again, just a suggestion to save some people some headache and heartache, because it's very tough to become. Forget about great at something. To be good at something is hard. You know what I mean? To be great is sacrifice. To be a legendary, it's like obsession. Oh my God, right? What it takes to make that happen. It's not easy. That's why so few people do it. 5%, right?
Yes.
It's not. There's a reason that 95% of the population is earning below $100,000. There's a reason that that's the case. There's a reason that only so many people make $500,000 a year. There's a reason that a certain amount of people make $1 million a year. That's not an accident. No. No disrespect to anybody who's watching this.
No, not at all.
It's not an accident. You know what I mean? So coming to how I got to the coaching side of things, I was in the direct sales business, and I'd opened up. I had a couple of offices that we had promoted, and I went to the introduction leader program put on by Landmark Education, and that was in New York City. And Landmark is great at education, by the way. It's a great training. I will say go in with caution in the sense that there are some who develop a cult-like mindset around it, but the training is great. So Landmark is great, but you just got to be, when you're going into it and you start getting involved, just be mindful of what you're there for, and not for what other people suggest.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, and
get the training.
You get the training.
Get the training. So, but Landmark is freaking amazing.
Okay. And that's what helped you.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where I made the decision to launch my coaching business. The moderator asked 3 questions. He asked, "What is your stand for humanity? What is the game you're here to play on this planet? And how big a game are you here to play?" And they gave us lunch to think about it. So on lunch, I thought about people like friends of mine, like Russell Peters, an East Indian comic from Canada.
Yes.
For those people who may not be aware of who he is, look him up. He was actually the first comic to have a YouTube special.
Okay.
No, Netflix special. Sorry.
Netflix. Okay.
He was the first one to do it. Canadian. You know what I mean? But he was told, because he was Indian, there was no market for an East Indian comic in North America. This is by the professionals. They told him that there was no market. You had to be black, white, or Latino in order to succeed. What do you think? Oh, look at me now.
Yes.
That's my boy, Russell. Yes, man. And X when he first started out, and now he's got a thing on the Brampton Walk of Fame. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And X started out drawing flyers, and now he's making videos for some of the brightest stars on the planet. Amazing. So but everybody started from nothing. And so, so I thought about them, and I was happy for them and their success, but extremely disappointed in myself. Because I knew I had this thing in my heart to wanting to do the coaching and training thing, but I just didn't know how. And a lot of us stop at the not knowing how. And it had been burning in me to do. And so so from there, I just had to, I had a conversation with God, because the truth is I was afraid, like most people are. You know what I mean? I have a real bill.
Fear is the biggest thing that holds us back.
I have real bills. I have a daughter, and my daughter lives in the UK. So when I'm giving support for her, that exchange rate from Canadian to pound, you take a pound and boop boop. Pow.
That's a good. It's a good analogy.
It's not fun.
Yeah, no, good analogy.
I was. How am I going to maintain my mortgage payments? How am I going to make my car note? How am I going to do these things? And, with something that I'm new at, and so, but I had a conversation with God, and I said, look, Father, I know you've been on me for a minute, I'm paying attention to, I can see it.
Yeah.
We're looking at her watch, because we have some other meetings to do.
That's all we're doing is meetings while I'm here.
All we're doing is meetings, yes. And so, I had a conversation with God, and I said, all right, Father, I don't know how this is going to work. And with my business, we were about to take on this major client for the direct sales, which would have taken us to an entirely different level. And it's just like, when God calls you, it's usually when it's the most inconvenient time.
Is that so?
Yeah. Pops, can you just give me 2 more minutes?
Yeah, like a little bit more time here.
Not really ready yet. So, but that's when you have the moment of truth, and you have to make a decision.
It's like the fork in the road, right?
Yeah, and so I said, okay, Father, I'm going to do what you've asked me to do. All I ask is that you take great care of me, and I'll take incredible care of your people. That's it. And so I called my business partner, and I said, I got to go. And he's like, you what? Like this, and he said,
wasn't prepared for it.
He said, bro, we got this stuff happening. We're about to make all this money. Are you out of your freaking mind? How much work we put in this? Oh my gosh. And one thing you never want to do is let people down. But the bigger thing, you never want to let God down. You know what I mean? Like this. And to whom much is given, much is required. We're blessed, man. You know what I mean? Most of us, even if you're living anywhere in North America, even if you're struggling, you're still living better than 90% of this freaking planet.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like this.
Agreed.
And come to the DR and come and see what real hard times are for some people. Come out to, go to some other parts of the Caribbean, Africa, South America.
Any third world country.
So it's like, after watching that movie Slumdog Millionaire, I swear to God, I'll never complain again.
I have to watch it. I don't think I know it.
Slumdog Millionaire. Oh, it's about India, because in India you've got the caste system.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the caste system, because people complain about discrimination in the West and in North America. Okay, yes, there is discrimination, yes. However, it is not a caste system where based on your last name, you don't get to go to that bank. You don't get to go to that school. You don't get to, and they tell you directly to your face. There's nothing indirect about it. Get out. You know what I mean? They tell you directly. And I can say like that, I got Indian in my family, so whatever. You know what I mean? That's where I got my nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got Indian in my family too, and white in my family, and all of it. Yes.
That's real. And people can make it out of that environment and succeed. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's freaking hard. That's hardcore. You know what I mean? So after seeing that, what's your excuse in North America? You know what I mean? It's like, stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's challenging everywhere you go, because every environment is different and they have their own challenges. But here, it's easier in that environment than it is in that environment. Yeah. So at any rate, so I was petrified. And so I made the decision. I said, I'm going to go. I said, when I went into the room and I answered the question, what is your stand for humanity? What is the game you're here to play on this planet? And how big a game are you here to play? I said, you know what? I'm going to touch, move, and inspire millions of people worldwide to make their passions and dreams become a tangible reality. He said, eloquently stated, starting when? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, bro.
We need a timeline on that.
Look, a lot of us talk, but when it comes to actually doing it, there's a difference between stating a preference and making a decision.
Yes.
And so I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So that So then I went.
You were already investing in yourself, so they were helping you make the hard decisions.
Yeah, and so I did the first thing, which was to all the books say, find the mentor.
Yes.
And for me, that person that stood out was Bob Proctor, because I saw him in The Secret, you know, and I found out he was Canadian, and I was like, oh snap, okay. And he really resonated with me, and so it was hard reaching out to his people. It was difficult. He's now passed.
Yes.
He's now passed on. But when I finally did get a hold of them, and Bob Proctor, and I'm so grateful for that man, because he opened my mind and my eyes to not just being a coach and a trainer, because I'd already been doing that through my direct sales business. We were teaching 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds how to become six-figure income earners. So I was already doing that. But I learned mindset from him in the most meaningful way you can, understanding the power of the subconscious mind and its impact on our behavior. And that's one thing that's not taught in a lot of trainings. A lot of people get down to the soft skills, the overcoming objections and pitching. You can't out-earn your self-image. Who you honestly believe you are and what you believe you're entitled to. You can't out-earn that. You know what I mean? And showing people how to change that. You know what I mean? And so I was like, turned on, you know what I mean? And so I started doing events, but now it was events to bring people out to be able to teach people how to break through, and then the people who want to sign up for my courses could do so. So people signed up for my courses, and then, people signed up for my courses and I got going, but then how it tied into the real estate was I needed to subsidize my income while I was learning how to become a coach. Okay. You know what I mean, like this. And so Sherrod McQueen in Brampton, at M5E Developments, at that time it wasn't M5E Developments. It was little Sherrod who was buying, flipping, and fixing up and flipping houses. And so when I was teaching people and their incomes were going up, because again, coming from the world of direct sales, I teach people how to increase their sales. So it's all entrepreneurs, and so I'm teaching them how to monetize their passions, how to increase their sales, how to increase their incomes, how to become six-figure, and if they want, seven-figure income earner.
So scaling.
So, right. And so, I started bringing my students over to him, then they would buy the properties, and we worked out a deal on commission, like this and like this.
So you'd already started figuring out how to collaborate and partner
yes.
with other experts that were in the field
in the field. Yeah, so then we started.
So a built-in mentor in many ways.
Yeah, well, yes, because we started doing financial literacy seminars. Yeah. Sherrod hated public speaking, and so I would do because we hung out and he was with me, and he invested in the training.
So you both got.
We both got a win-win, and I guess on multiple levels.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My brother. That's my brother. You know what I mean? And so. The long and short of it is that we ended up getting involved with different developments together, and I started bringing clients. Because my student base grew, I brought them. They made money through real estate, so my students are happy. We made money through the commissions. We were all happy. It was a win-win and win. Then a buddy of mine, I got introduced to a guy named Glenn who taught me about infinite returns and investing in the United States. You know what I mean? And so that's another long story. But the long and short of it is that I partnered with somebody. I was good because doing what I was doing, teaching and training people how to increase their sales. Partnered with somebody who knew the real estate game, and this through virtue of being in the meetings, I learned the real estate game. I learned it all through sitting in the meetings. I was not taught in any books. I did get my mortgage license at one point in Toronto because their fiscal was beginning to clamp down on people who are unlicensed talking about real estate.
Okay.
Like this, and so I didn't want to have any problems. I'm too skinny and too cute to go to prison. You know what I mean?
So I don't have to prompt you. You can just start. Okay.
And take two.
Yes.
So it was about collaborating and connecting with the right people, and then I had those experiences with real estate, and then ultimately COVID happened. And I had this huge plan for my coaching and speaking business. And I was going to get ready to go down to the United States. I was going to be on the circuit. There's a company that was dealing with Tony Robbins and a bunch of other guys, and I would have got a chance to be, in the warm-up rooms. You know what I mean, like this, and as I'm beginning to make a name for myself. Yeah. And COVID hits, and it's like, oh God.
It was a fun time for us all. Fun time. So a lot of pivoting,
the entire seminar business was completely flattened.
Live in person.
Conventions, all that stuff gone, right? Gone. And so again, having to deal with the hurdles of life, you know, and
entrepreneurs,
and
right?
as entrepreneurs, you have to, well, it's adapt or die. Anything you do, if you fail to adapt to your changing environment, you will cease to exist. It's really that simple, you know. So I ended up taking a bit of time off of the coaching. I left Toronto and went to Jamaica, and as I was in Jamaica, something very interesting happened because I said I'm not doing lockdowns in the cold. So that's why I left, because to me that would have been like solitary confinement. Wasn't happening. Yeah,
jail.
It's prison.
It was like jail.
It's lockdown. That's what it is. It's lockdown. That's what they call it, right? You know what I mean? It's jail.
It was tough, Noel.
Yeah. And so I said, if I have to deal with it, I would deal with it in the tropics. Because I already knew that, you know, when you get to the islands, they pay attention to the rules, but do they really pay? Okay, so
they're a little bit more lax on everything.
They're a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
So and I said, and if I need a date, I can get down to the ocean. I can go take a sea bath. That's what I needed. So I left Canada. I said I'm not, and I can't even entertain this. So I left, but when I was there, I started checking into the real estate because I remembered. Years prior, there was a delegation that had come to First Fridays, and shout outs to Warren Salmon, who's that warrior who has never stopped. First Fridays, like it's been decades.
Yes.
And I guess this guy he never misses a Friday, at First Friday. So for people who aren't familiar with what that is, it's where the Black business and professional community comes together the first Friday every month. And he's got a range of different panelists and people who share what they're up to, and you know, from a variety of different aspects. So they had a delegation that came in, and they were talking about buy Jamaica, invest in Jamaica, and I had the very Canadian/Toronto imperialistic attitude of, I'm in Toronto, why would I even entertain a third world country? And by the way, we have to stop using that word, third world, developing countries. You know what I mean, like this. And so, you know, but. Again, I'm like, well, our market's on fire. But what I didn't understand was that I could have bought 3 properties for the price of 1. You know what I mean? And so I remembered when they did their presentation.
And there was still huge growth in Jamaica in those 3 properties.
Well, this is the point, because at that point, those properties were like at 50 grand, 65, 70,000. USD, like this. Well, at that time, though, you have to remember our dollar was a lot closer.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so the Canadian dollar was closer to the U.S. at that time. So, but when I got to Jamaica, and I'm seeing those same types of units going for 220, 250, 280.
So like the multiplier
that's not including cash flow. Look at the Airbnbs.
Yes.
And so I met guys down there who are now in their mid-30s, who had started when they were in their early 20s in Jamaica, who are multimillionaires with cash flow that kills. Like living their best life, you know what I mean? And so I was like, that was like a...
That's hard. Yeah, that's a hard... I mean...
You know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
But after that, I said, you know what? I will never be dismissive. When somebody comes to me with an idea, I'll at least hear it out. Yes. I'll at least do a little bit of investigation because there's some people say, well, I just buy in Toronto. I don't only Toronto. And I know I've heard people say that on social media. And I'm like, but why? The banks don't just do business in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like this, they don't. They're all over the world. You know what I mean? Like this. And so why? Like, I think we need to think like a bank. And forget about your neighborhood. There's an opportunity all over the world, and and we're losing. Being
the bank could be very profitable to us.
Yes. So yes, you think, right? Like this, you know, and so even like Africa and all these other countries, people talk about why would I go to Africa? Well, why are the banks there? Why are all these rich people there? Why are all these people over there? Like, nothing to see here. Don't go over here. You know what I mean? Well, they make all the money.
They're not promoting it. But you're right. If you have opportunities like First Fridays, then
I learned that ignorance is not bliss. It's expensive.
It is. It's very, very costly to us.
So to the tunes of millions, you know, so as I was there, that kind of primed me. So now I'm looking for a place to go because I'm in Jamaica. The max time that you get there is like 6 months. You know, well, 3 months, but I got extensions because Trudeau had blocked all flights back to Canada. Yes, indeed. Yes, and so what he intended to be a curse was actually turned out to be a blessing for me. You know what I mean? Like this.
Gave you more time to figure out the plan?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so I decided that, on my way back to Toronto, when I reached that 6-month period in Jamaica, I think I'm honorary Jamaican now. I think they've given me citizenship honorary. And because I stayed in Ocho Rios and Kingston and a little bit of Montego Bay. But then, so after leaving, I went to Florida just to say, I just wanted a little bit of a break before I head back to Toronto. And when I arrived in Florida, because the reason I went to Florida is because they respect freedom, you know what I mean, and autonomy.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's got their different views. I don't care. That's mine. So I went to Florida, and I was like being in Fort Lauderdale. It reminded me of Toronto before the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like this, because you could wear a mask if you wanted to, if you didn't want to. So down in Fort Lauderdale by the wharf, it reminded me of waterfront. You know what I mean? And all the people out, it was a buzz. It was like, oh my God, we're going to a soca fete. It was great. You know what I mean? Like this, I was just like, and then I was like, man, I really like Florida because I hadn't been for years. Yeah. So that sort of prefaces. Because as I'm telling the story of how we've come to hear the DR. So I left Florida, went back home to Toronto, and I could see the writing on the walls with all the money printing that was going on. Because one of the things that I've been doing is following and studying the experts. And I'm talking about from people who have extreme views to the people who are the more conservative and more moderate. Because at the end of the day, you have to come up with your own conclusions and make the decisions that you feel are best for you. But from everything that I was seeing and hearing, interest rates are going to be going up at some point like this, and it's going to get rough. You know what I mean? Like this, and I guess, and so I was on Facebook. And
I think it's been getting rough.
This is prior to now, where it's already happened.
Yes.
This is which is why I sold a year and a half ago. I sold all of my properties a year and a half ago. So
in the Toronto area.
Yeah, the Toronto area. Yes, and so before the interest rates and all stuff started taking off, I was selling. Yeah, yes, and I was actually kind of pissed off with one developer because it was January of that year, and I said, I knew it was coming inside of this coming months. They were going to be making announcements because of everything that I'd been following, and they dragged their feet with I don't want to
name anyway.
Yeah, name anyway, but I'll just say I was upset because my unit didn't actually end up selling until freaking April when I wanted it sold in January. You know what I mean? And so I made money on it, but I got a little bit of a hit on that one, but it wasn't a 30 or 40% hit like a lot of people are going through now. But I saw that coming, and one thing I just want to say to everybody: look, you really need to pay attention to what's going on geopolitically. I don't really care what your political position is, liberal, Democrat, conservative. Yeah. Independent thinking and being able to look at something and see it for what it is. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you and I are responsible for our own financial well-being, nobody else. It is not the government's job to make you rich. It's your job to get you rich. You know what I mean? Like,
they're not trying to make us rich.
Well, that's clear. Honestly, Canada has become a hostile environment for entrepreneurs. It's a hostile environment, particularly Ontario. Hostile environment.
Yes, especially if you're in real estate and you're a landlord owner.
Oh my God, like this, it's like, and some people said to me, well, so if you're investing in the States, where would you be? I said, red states. You know what I mean? Listen, well, that sounds political. I said, it's business. I'm in business to make money, and I'm gonna go where people are gonna make it as easy for me and be as friendly to me as possible. Charge me the least. You know what I mean? Give me the most. That just makes business sense.
That's right.
So I'm going to where it makes business sense. So I don't really care. If it was flipped the other way around and the Reds had the mindset that the Blues have right now, I would say blue states. I don't care. You know what I mean? I just want to go where at the end of the day, it's about my daughter, our future, and my future children, future wife. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this is about. You know what I mean? I'm building the legacy. Yes. You know what I mean? And so to me, that's all that matters. The rest of it is all whatever. Yes. You know,
So you left Florida to come back to Toronto.
To Canada, let go of my units, like this, and then went back to Florida, I guess. And so while I was in Florida, because I was sitting there because my houses are now sold. I'm sitting there with a bunch of cash in the bank, and I'm like, what the hell do I do now? You know, And it's a scary situation because you don't know. Like, and none of us knew exactly what like, we're in the midst of all this stuff. None of us knows what's happening next. So I saw a video promo of Grant Cardone. You know what I mean? And now I had seen some of his stuff on YouTube before, and I'll be honest, the stuff that I saw of him, I thought he was just a bit of a brash idiot. I didn't take him. I'm just being honest. I didn't take him seriously. I thought he was all like, oh, I got my jet, I got this, I got that. And I'm like, oh, man, whatever. Do you even own that? Because I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I said, that was just where my mind was at. Because there's so many people who, they're fake. You know what I mean? They're not.
Today on social media,
it's hard to know what's real and what's not. Yeah. You know, and so I wasn't.
It's not hard to rent something.
I wasn't really a fan of his. You know, when I first saw his stuff, but then I saw this thing, the video. You know, sometimes God always answers a prayer when you're in the midst of the heavy stuff, right? And in my mind, it was like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know where to invest next. What are my next steps?
So then, but what do you do?
Yeah, but I do. I needed an answer. And then so his thing came up, and he said, "Don't even worry about the vid and the COVID. And he said, we need the vitamin money. You don't worry about the vid. You can make money in any environment. Real estate, bro." And he was promoting his real estate, the Wealth Summit, the Real Estate Investment Summit, the Wealth Summit, in Fort Lauderdale there. And so I was like, okay. Now I said, I don't know if he has as much money as he claims, because he claims to be a billionaire, but I know he's clearly got more money than me, you know what I mean? And he's got way more to lose than me. So let me go hear what he has to say. So I paid a couple $100 to go sit down in this weekend intensive. Let me tell you, Grant Cardone is a beast. He is good. Like, he's real. You want dialed in? Real estate, United States? Grant knows what the hell he's doing. He's, oh my God, he's good. Like, he is smart. If you ever get a chance to go to, you don't have to invest with them, because I didn't invest with them. We went to do our own project. But I'm just saying that.
Because that's part of what he does, is he encourages you to join what he's doing?
Well, I mean, he's got his own project where you can invest with Cardone Capital, or you can go do your own thing, partner with other people and do your own stuff, like whatever. But he knows that most people won't go do it. No. So here, just give you the, you know what I mean? And so, which makes sense, you know what I mean? If you're not going to do it for yourself, he's doing it. Hey, or there's other people who've got deals. You can put money with them in their deals, whatever.
I like that idea. That's what I do.
Yeah. So he's got a great combination. Yeah. So his training opened my mind. It was just like a wazzo. Like, like Neo, oh, my eyes are hurting. Why? Because you've never used them. You know what I mean? Like this, my eyes were like, I was just like, I'm seeing this bright light, and it's like, whoa, it was a lot. Like, I am so grateful for that man, because he is.
So this was just after the pandemic started? Around 2020, 2021? What?
Oh God, this is, what are we in now?
Yeah.
Is it 2022?
It was 2022,
2021, 2022, in that
We're
range.
in 2024, so it was a couple years back?
Yeah, it's a couple years back.
Okay.
Now. Yeah, yes. Now it is, yeah. Like this, and because I was in his program for a year. So because I signed up for his investment training program. So in that time frame. And so I got to get better with that. I have to actually now go back and think about what dates were these really.
I think it could have been 2022, but I'm just thinking when we started talking, it was 2022.
So it would have been 2021.
Yeah, so I think it was, that's why I was trying to get the timeline.
And so, yeah, because it was, I think it was the Wealth Summit was in December. Of that year. It was in December, I think, believe it.
And is that when you met
Henry?
Henry. Okay, so then for sure 2021 was the year.
Yeah. And Henry's my business partner.
Yes.
Right? Like this,
For
people who don't know him.
Yes.
Henry Williams Jr. And I had formed a study group when we got at the seminar, and because everything, it was like the information that Grant was giving us. It was like having you're trying to drink out of a big water hose with this stuff is coming at you. It was just like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And so we formed a study group, and then Henry and I kind of just vibed, and so as he was talking, now our mind was on buying apartment buildings, which was never even a thought. I was thinking duplexes, triplexes, maybe 4 or 5 units. Yeah. I'm not thinking apartment.
He always encourages that multi-unit.
And he explains why. Like this, and so I would never do singles again. You know what I mean? Like this, it would always be multi-unit. after what I've learned from him. And again, different strokes for different folks. But
well,
but
the
for me,
multiplier factor is huge in the multiplex.
But exit also. You know what I mean? And government protections. When you get to a certain size, all of those things make a big difference. There's a lot more to that, but not for this discussion. But so the long and short of it, we started looking for a building to buy, and we were looking in the United States. I came to the Dominican Republic for the first time. Because I had to leave the United States. It was 6 months, and that's the amount of time that we can stay there legally. So I had to leave. I had to go somewhere, and I was going to go back to Jamaica. I said, okay, let me do 3 months Jamaica, 6 months United States. Go back and forth, And then a friend of mine, Sean, he says to me, Noel, you gotta come to the DR, bro. Like, real estate's crazy. All the the island is fully open. All restrictions have been lifted because the DR was the first Caribbean island to lift restrictions. And so I was like, okay. And my mom wanted to come to celebrate my 50th, and so, and because, long and short, she was able to come here because of the religious exemptions that you could take, from the restrictions. So she came to, we celebrated my birthday here, and then Sean one day he showed me this purchase and sale agreement that he had because he just bought a unit in Puerto Plata. We're in the North Coast here, for those people who aren't familiar with the Dominican Republic. Most people, when they think of the Dominican Republic, they think, I'm going to say DR moving forward.
Yes.
Most people think of Punta Cana, which is more the East Coast. We're Puerto Plata, the province of Puerto Plata, it's the North Coast. And so there's the city of Puerto Plata, Sosua, Cabarete, Sabaneta, and a couple of other towns along that coastline, all along the North Coast. That's where I'm staying, right? And honestly, outside of Santo Domingo, which is the capital city, it's my favorite part of the Dominican Republic. So I've traveled to a good portion of the Dominican Republic. I really love the North Coast. So he showed me his purchase and sale agreement, and when I saw the price of this apartment, it was like $170 for a 2-bedroom, 1,500 square foot apartment in a gated community.
So $170 USD. We always have to make sure people understand.
USD. But still, that's like $210. You know what I mean? Like this
can't find those prices in Toronto or Canada.
In a gated community.
Absolutely.
Like this, I was just like, I was looking at the numbers, and I was looking at other places because I started looking at other places, and I couldn't believe the prices.
And that's fairly new. That's a new build.
That's new build. New build. Like this, super modern. Like this, and so I was just like, huh. And then everybody's talking about real estate's blowing up. It's blowing up. But one thing that I've learned over the years is
really, I think you were just saying opportunity started knocking, and you were.
Well, when I saw the prices and I heard the talk, I'm like, this feels like Jamaica 2.0.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to make the opportunity miss it
again.
Time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you got to learn.
Yes.
Like this, you got to learn.
And you're not 20, 30 anymore.
No.
Like those people, those young children that learn.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, it is what it is.
Now you have the opportunity that you didn't take before in Dominican.
Right, but before I made my final decision, because I was intrigued, but still, I don't want to be I don't buy based on hype because you just don't know what the hype machine. Yeah, so I went to go meet with the Rigo from Rigo Rural Realty. Shout out to him.
So some local realtors in the Dominican or the DR.
They took me to go. I said I want to go meet with the Urban Planning Division of City Hall.
Okay, because now you want the real scoop. Like who makes the decisions
and what's actually happening here. And I would do that anywhere I was investing.
It makes sense.
Yes, and so go ahead.
No, because I think sometimes depending on whether you're buying or building, I mean, it's whoever is making the decisions can impact that significantly.
Oh yes, what are the rules? How things work? What's happening?
I'm feeling it at home. That's why I wanted to highlight that.
Yes, I know. Our city of Brampton's not being unkind.
They're not favorable.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
And it's not just Brampton. I think largely Ontario as well in general, right? So.
So
Puerto Plata supports.
Well, it's not just Puerto Plata. The Dominican Republic, period, is investor friendly.
Okay.
It's investor friendly. They want foreigners here. Like, you have a passport and you got a bank account from back home that you can demonstrate that's real. You can set up a bank account here. It's really easy.
So you don't have to have your status or paperwork.
You want to set up a corporation here? No problem.
Love it.
It took us like 6 months, and I'll get all of our paper, and we're done, and we're good. And so it's like they make doing business easier.
Yes.
Way easier. And this goes back to my earlier point, which is.
But are you still restricted, sorry, Noel, by the 6 months in and out? Like you still?
No.
Like you are in the U.S.
No. As long as you just pay the fine. You know what I mean? At the airport, which is a couple $100. You know what I mean? There are people who have been living here for years. Yeah. Like this, and not having issues. You can't do that in Jamaica. No. Nor Trinidad. No. Nor Guyana. A lot of
or the U.S.
The U.S. You can't do that. But to be quite frank with you, I think their government's smart.
Yeah.
You've got, because this is why, you've got people from North America, the UK, all those people coming, and they're bringing their money. You know what I mean? Like this into this country because it makes sense. Yeah. It's like you need a government.
That's how a developing country grows.
It's not government's responsibility to make us rich, but it is their responsibility to create the environment for enterprise to grow and to flourish. You know what I mean? And that's what they do here.
Because it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I win and the country wins.
Yeah. So so I'm not a fan of what's been happening in Canada under the regime that has been there for a minute at all. They're destroying our country. So not just destroying our country, they're killing people's wealth, like your ability to grow and build. Like it's absolute madness. And to be quite frank with you, I'm going to say this aside, I know that we were talking about the 5%, but I have to just say this in honesty. It's like, I don't understand how we as Canadians tolerate foolishness for so damn long. Like this.
I don't know why we're passive.
It takes... Not until truckers actually made a decision to go and stand. It's the first time I've actually seen real action among Canadians, where Canadians are finally saying, "Okay, enough." Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like we allow people to. We have to always remember, we elect people. We put them in office not to serve themselves, but to serve us. Yeah. They work for us. You know what I mean? And I think that we should have a situation where, if we're dealing with a bunch of nonsense, we should be calling referendums and saying, "Hey, look, you know what I mean? That's and because
shut it down
because it's because the impact. It's not just us; it's our kids. Like, why are you building? Like, why are you sacrificing? Why are you doing everything you're doing? And so you can give your children a better opportunity. You want to live a nice lifestyle, but it's for the next generation. And so hopefully they don't screw it up. You know what I mean? You train them right.
You have to educate them as well.
Educate them. You know what I mean? But
you have to educate them.
We're trying to build legacy. And these bastards are interfering with it. You know what I mean?
But you found a place where you
found a way where you can do it. Yeah. And I'm looking, and this and other countries I'm looking at. So, but Dominican Republic is great thus far. It's imperfect, just like any nation is. It's not a perfect country, but
we're still working with people.
We're still working with people.
Yes. We're still working within systems.
Yes. But it is a great country from my perspective. Like this, and so. And I love the people here. People here are great. So as I started to investigate, once I had my meeting with City Hall and they showed us the city plans for the next 10 years, of the road expansion plans, the businesses that are coming in, major hoteliers that are coming in. Like, these guys are spending a lot more money than we are. You know what I mean? Like, some of these companies are spending millions of dollars in their project, multi, like 50 million, 100 million. Like Vin Diesel, like his project, and I think Vin Diesel should be getting a percentage of all the tourism marketing because everybody's using his name. You know what I mean? Because of his project that he's got going on. But it's like massive projects are coming here. And so there's a reason that they're coming here. So so we were looking originally at hotel deals, and when I was thinking about doing business here, because I was still a bit nervous because I don't know the country,
and the language. It's
all I knew was "Hola, cómo estás" when I got here. That was it. You know what I mean? But then one day, because I had met with City Hall. And I was happy with what I saw, but I'm still nervous about making the decision.
But you decide.
What pushed me over the final edge, I was in Porta Plata at this big store. It's kind of like a Winners back in Toronto, or like like a mini kind of those clearance kind of stores.
Yeah, and like it's a superstore.
Yeah, a superstore. And this little Asian lady is the owner of this place, and I was listening to her interact with her staff, and I asked her how long she'd been here and all that kind of stuff. And she could barely speak Spanish or English. You know what I mean? This, real talk. And like this, and I asked her, I said, how do you manage this? She says, well, I hired a good people. You know what I mean? Like this, I don't want to act like I'm putting on an Asian accent, but you get the idea. You get the idea.
Yes.
So like, I sat back, and I'm impressed. You know what I mean? Here's a woman who this isn't her native language.
No,
this is not her place
Spanish,
either, and she's making big dollars here like this. And I'm like, if she can do this, so can I. You know what I mean? And that's when I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's go. You know what I mean? And that's where it made a decision.
I think we should maybe fast forward it a little bit.
Sure.
So now you get to decide that you chose Dominican over the U.S., over Jamaica, and what was it that you chose? Like, what did you decide to do here? Because I think
we were originally looking for hotel deals and mini villas so we can get cash flow happening on those, and then we were introduced to a local builder who is now our business partner.
Okay. So again, another collaboration.
Yes, collaboration is key. Arbitrage is the way to go. Because you're meeting with people who have the experience, and because there's so many things that we would never have any clue of, and how many people could get over on.
And this person is a local.
He's a local.
They know the language. They know
the culture, the way to do business, and they're successful already doing what they're doing. So we didn't hire him; we partnered with him.
Understood.
Like this, and and then Henry made me feel a little bit more comfortable too, because he has more background on the physical, being on the ground with developments and building real estate, because he's done that in Atlanta.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I've been around the projects and been around more the boardroom conversation, but on the ground stuff, I'd never really been around that. That's Henry, and he's the numbers guy.
Yes.
So
he has a set of skills and assets that you don't have.
That's correct. So he's the CFO.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm the person who knows how to bring these places together. I guess I would be the Steve Jobs of the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, you're actually boots on the ground, because you're here.
I'm here, yes.
And he's not.
That's right.
So, you've got a win-win in this relationship with him.
And connecting with all the real estate brokerages down here. And I will tell
And you're also the people person too, Noel. Like, you're the person coming here locally, making all the connections.
That's correct.
Bringing all the relationships and partnerships that you need on the deal to be successful.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and learning a lot.
Yes.
Learning a lot through other people's experiences. Thank God.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
so it's not costing you completely financially.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yes. Well, I mean, ignorance is not bliss. It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
So I've connected with a lot of good people. So ultimately, we found a beautiful piece of land. The builder, Luis Mata, he told us it's better to do new construction than to go the other route. And then so we could hold units that we want a cash flow on, but we could sell units as well. And if there was another pandemic, well, at least we have, it's considered essential. So he said during the pandemic, real estate never stopped. Construction kept going. In fact, exploded because people were leaving North America, leaving Europe, and bringing their money here because they were nervous about what was going on, right?
Yeah.
So the markets here jumped in a very big way and continue to move very steadily upwards. And so I know that bottom line is that from the time that we found the land and partnered on this deal, that we have at least a 5 to 10 year horizon, you know what I mean, to be able to make as much as possible. So I figured, well, even if we built, people bought, and we got 4 or 5 years in, and if we said, hey, look, let's liquidate and move on to the next deal, we can do that. Or if people want to keep it and live and retire in it, whatever, like people can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it was a 2 to 5 year plan, you know what I mean, for that. And and we're building now a 38 unit luxury condo, of which another thing that comes down to things is investors. And I met you through, well, we met from before, but Aubrey reintroduced us.
That's right. It was Aubrey that shared your link to your event, right?
Yes.
Your live virtual or whatever event. And I thought, I'm always an investor and always interested. Like you said, you know, knowledge is huge, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know much about the DR other than, you know, traveling, like you said, to Punta Cana and having a great time. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about how I could scale and get beyond the borders of Canada and North America. So I attended that event. But I already knew you. That's part of the reason why I plugged into that event as well. I knew you and I knew Aubrey, but separately. And I was like, oh, wait, how does Aubrey know you? Okay. I knew you from Brampton.
Yes, right.
Like,
right.
yeah. So anyhow, I was very fortunate that I came into that event and learned, because I became an investor with your project. That's and we partnered to do another project, because collaboration is huge.
It's huge.
And I wouldn't, for many years I did it independently like you did, and I realized that I wasn't scaling and I wasn't growing. Right. So that's when I decided that I wasn't going to allow that to be my way going forward. I was going to continue partnering and collaborating.
Yes. Well, but one thing too, the key in partnerships is knowing that you're equally yoked and have good people who have share the same mindset, because no matter what you do, you can have challenges, you can have ups and downs and issues, but you have to know that the people you're working with are sincere, have your back and have your best interest at heart, and are going to fight to the end to make certain that you win. And so, you know, so as we've, you know, so through connecting with yourself and with Henry, the people he's brought to the table as investors, you know, we've formed this great union, and we're building East Cabaret's first 5-star project, and it's exciting. And it's like all of our research and faith is being validated now, because the price point that we bought at, when we bought there wasn't much happening in that side, because the area that we're in, the regentrification hadn't started yet. Yes, but we had been told that there was regentrification coming, so we counted on the advice we had been given, and so far, wicked. It's been great. So there's 2 other developments that have started up there. Multi-million-dollar villas are coming up in our neighborhood, and so and everybody who's buying with us, like, they're winning. You know what I mean, like this, and so that is a great feeling, you know, and to know that, like, we're just about to start construction, but at the time of this recording, the final permits just coming in now,
awesome.
and you know, and we're getting ready to break ground. So so the developer. I find it still, to me, it's kind of like I'm pinching myself, because I'm like, developer, okay, yes, I guess I am.
You are.
Yes, I'm a developer, and you know, and but and now after having gone through this and the experience, boy, I tell you, doing it in a new country, with new language, with new people, with coming in with no contacts, and making this, it's like, boy, this has been an experience.
You have a new book still to write.
It's gonna be thick.
Yes, you have a new book to write.
It's gonna be thick.
You have plenty of stories.
It's but you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world, and the return, and I mean, there's some other blessings which we can't discuss on camera right now that we're in the midst of with this project. But it's looking potentially like this could be even much bigger than we ever anticipated. So it's
sometimes when you start the journey, it just doesn't seem like anything really big.
Yes.
And then you meet different people, or the right people along the way.
Well, it's funny how people from the past, because Glenn, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, it's amazing how things come together, and so. But I will say that, look, for anybody who's watching this interview.
So maybe you're giving us some keys now, some key takeaways.
Some key takeaways. Yes. Our number one, when God puts something in your heart, you really need to pay attention. You need to listen. You need to move. One of the things that I really appreciate about Andrea, and you really should plug in and support this effort that she's in, because you'll never find somebody who's more sincere, extremely hardworking, and somebody who actually gets to work like this. Like, she doesn't just talk; she actually.
Hey, that's me. I'm supposed to be promoting you.
Yes, you know. So, but for real, like it's you know, she's an executor, right? And she gets things done. So, but you know, when man, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? The key, yes. So when God puts something in your heart, inspiration is an instruction from our Creator to do something. You really need to listen. And sometimes you may not understand it all at the beginning, but you really need to listen. Because I tell you,
there are signs, though, Noel.
the people that I have met along the way through this journey, even how we met our lawyer in the deli, it's God lined this thing up, man. I can't. There's not. I could not
take credit for it.
I could not plan it the way it's happened, the way things have unfolded, who we've connected. This is not. This is really. I can't take credit for it at all. Like this. What I can take credit for is obedience to the Spirit and following my gut instinct, following the instruction that God gave me. So that's number one. Number two, the recognizing that you may have an initial vision for something, but you need to be flexible because, sometimes when you're looking at blessings, you have this vision in your mind of how it's supposed to happen, but God may have a different route to get you to the point that you want to be at so that you can have everything that you want. So sometimes...
So is that route sometimes hard?
Well, I think maybe because of the route that I took, it was more challenging because of the new environment. You know what I mean, like this. But I would say that you have to be flexible, man. You can't sometimes you get so hard and fixed on a specific way. That's not how God works sometimes, man. You know what I mean? And you sometimes He's trying to pull you left, and you have to pay attention to what's going on around you and the signs and with the feedback you're getting in your environment. Pay attention to the details of that, because sometimes you're saying no to the blessing. You know what I mean? And so really pay attention. So that's number two. Number three is resilience. Regardless to whether we were building here or in Toronto or in any other country, there are going to be challenges along the way. You know what I mean, like this. And if you're not prepared to pay the price, you don't deserve the prize. You know what I mean, like this. You know what I mean. And so you have to be willing. I'm in the Dominican Republic. This is Party Central. I don't go out a lot because some people say, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" If it hasn't, I said I'm not on vacation. This is work. You know what I mean, like this. Now I do get out. I'll get to the beach. Try to take it in, but I am focused. I have a goal, so I'm not out partying every night. I'm not out doing. I just can't. You know what I mean? I have people counting on me. There's a lot riding on this. I have to deliver. You know what I mean? Like this, and so you have to be willing to give up some things for the things that you want. You have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of some of the things that you really want to do. You know what I mean? Like this, in order to have the things that you really want to have.
Absolutely.
And then the final thing I would say is, you need to have faith that God is going to deliver for you in the end, because when you are working through things and you're dealing with the challenges, a lot of times it's hard to see beyond what's right in front of your face, and so there is a world of things out there, and it's something where if you remain faithful and you work hard and you continue to tweak, make adjustments, and stay in the right faith, the answers will come, and you'll ultimately get what's in your heart, because God is the one who put it in your heart. He wants it done.
Yes.
Like this, you know what I mean? And He works His will through us. You know what I mean? And so when you're going to get to, just follow the instincts and get to work and let Him take care of the rest. Does not mean things are going to be easy. You're going to have challenges. It's going to be a fight. But the prize, the sweetness of the victory, oh my God. You know what I mean? So
we're still waiting on that sweetness, that victory.
Yes. Well, no, it's already.
We know we're close.
Well, actually, it's already begun happening. You see, part of the thing is that sometimes, you have it in your mind when certain things are supposed to unfold, but everything unfolds as it has. And I would just say this, although I can't, and you can't say something, but you want to say something, but you can't really say. So I'll just say this.
Is this the NDA holding you back?
It's not just the NDA, but there's certain things that there's certain things, even when you're on the route to creating something, you don't tell everybody all your business. Yes. You know what I mean? There's certain things you have to hold to your vest and not say anything about publicly until it's time. So, but I would just say this, with what we have potentially coming up that changes the whole dynamic for all of us involved with this project, some of the delays that we have had, even getting to where we want to go, because we're waiting on bureaucracy, waiting for the city to do this, waiting for this and all that kind of stuff. If that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have been in the position to receive
Yes.
what we're about to receive through what's happening. So, so my point simply is sometimes delays are there for your benefit. It's not always a bad thing. You know,
I agree.
God functions not on our time, but on His. You know, like, and according to His timetable. So I trust and believe that He's not going to allow us to come this hard and work this far, not to actualize what we put our hearts and minds to. And with the team that we have, as brilliant as it is collectively together, there is absolutely nothing that you can't solve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this, nothing. So, so you know, so that's it.
Awesome.
That's where I'm at.
Well, before we wrap, because I think that's a great way, like I love those 4 keys, maybe you can share one book, because it's probably hard, because I know I've read a lot of great ones, but one book that you feel is probably the most instrumental, or maybe can have the most impact to someone else who's just sort of getting started, trying to figure out, you know, where to begin, you know, because a lot of us don't have the money up front, Noel, to go and invest in the Grant Cardone, you know, programs or any kind of coaching program, because I know that they come with costs, right?
Okay. Well, let me speak to that first.
Okay, speak to that
first.
Because I always talk about it, because the reason I talk about it is a lot of people always say, but Andrea, I don't have 10,000.
Yeah, okay, yeah. If I was to that person, I would say to you, if I was to tell you I was going to give you a brand new Lamborghini, completely free, like this, I guess, well, not free, but you have to come up with 10 grand inside of the next 48 hours, and it's yours. I guess, and you know, insurance is all covered in the 10 grand, like this.
I love it.
Would you find it like this? And I guess, and we're not. Tony Robbins says it right. He said, you know, we don't lack resources, we lack resourcefulness. I guess, and if you want something, when I went and invested in the program with Bob Proctor to go and start, that was $23,000 US at the time. That was about $30-something thousand.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go and I had to go find a line of credit to go and do what I had to do. So like this, but the truth is that you don't find the money because on a core level you don't believe that it's possible to actually achieve. Because if somebody said you offered somebody your program for 10 grand and they were guaranteed to go make $1 million, they'll find the freaking 10 grand. You know what I mean?
But I don't disagree, Noel. But you're speaking to the.
But the point is that here's the thing. We've all blown 10 grand on impulse purchases. You know what I mean? Like this, we've blown that.
Absolutely.
I don't care how broke you are, you've blown that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this,
I
so. No, but you have to check your faith level in terms of and sometimes it's not about the faith in the person who's doing the teaching, it's your faith in your ability to actually execute and get it done.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't believe in themselves.
Yes.
And that's where that issue comes from. So I'm sorry, but Spike Lee, to get his first movies done, he did it on credit cards. You know what I mean? Like this, you know, it's true. You know what I mean? Like this,
I did some of my first investments on credit cards.
You know, and there's other people, you don't always have to have the money. If you've got a concept that you put together, a good concept that's organized will attract money. It doesn't have to be from a bank. There are people who will lend and invest. You invested in us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like this, you know what I mean? So this is proof.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
I agree wholeheartedly.
So we're either going to have excuses or we're going to have results, but we're not going to have both. Make a decision.
Yes.
So like this, make a decision.
Yes.
So one other thing I want to say before I get to the book selection, with our project, if we have a few units available left prior to going into where we're going, so depending on when you're posting this, of course, if you're interested in getting a unit like this, so you can start looking at potentially 40 to 50% returns over the course of the next year or two, perhaps make up for some of the losses in Toronto. You know what I mean? You know, like this, reach out to Andrea.
And it's USD.
Yes, USD. Yes, reach out to Andrea because we got units starting as low as 135 grand at the time of this recording.
Yes.
And this is beachfront.
And right now we're March 4th.
Yeah. Well, show a little thing on the screen, I guess.
Yes, I will.
Show a little thing on the screen so they can see what we're talking about.
Yes.
It's sweet.
Yes.
Sweet. So 5-star. You know what I mean? So please get with Andrea if that's of interest to you, and she'll notify us.
130,000 USD. Oh my!
It's crazy. So so that aside, in terms of the book, There's a couple that I would suggest to start out with. One, if you have not ever invested in real estate before, or if you've maybe just gotten started, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
I was not expecting that.
That's the first one. I think that Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, I love that.
Robert Kiyosaki. The reason I suggest it is because he makes it so simple.
It's easy
you know,
storytelling
yes,
in everyday layman terms.
So Rich Dad Poor Dad, what the rich teach your children, the poor and the middle class do not. Then it's Cash Flow Quadrant, which is the second book. You know what I mean? Which is
after the Rich Dad Poor Dad.
After the Rich Dad Poor Dad, you want to get Cash Flow Quadrant. It will totally shift your mindset around real estate. Second book that I would recommend. Boy, there's a couple. The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
By George Clayson. That book is really brilliant because it shows you the fundamental principles of investing through storytelling. It is really good. So I would say get The Richest Man in Babylon. The third book that I would recommend is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
One of my faves.
And there's audio versions too you can get, which I recommend go online on YouTube. And like I said, you can go along with the book because the truth is I didn't understand the book. You know what I mean? And now I've really have come to understand what this book really is. And it's like, there's a reason that it's produced more millionaires than any other book in modern history.
Yeah. And that book is what, like 50, 60 years old?
Yeah, it's insane what it's done. And that's the book that inspired my mentor, Bob Proctor. That's what got him on his journey to become a millionaire after working in a fire hall in Stouffville, Ontario, Canada, to becoming an international sensation, over 100 countries, private jet, all of that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. So Think and Grow Rich. I would also suggest Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. That was the very first book I ever read in personal growth and development. Changed everything for me. That was a really great book. I would recommend not just reading the book, but actually going out to one of Grant Cardone's programs specifically on real estate. I've been to a lot of different seminars. From a seminar perspective, I haven't read his real estate book, so I can't recommend it, but I've been to the 2-day intensive for the real estate seminar. Anybody who's in real estate, I don't care what you are doing in real estate or if you've never done real estate, you can get a lot of wisdom, and the audience and the crowd, the people you meet at those events, it's invaluable.
And this is in U.S.
Yeah,
right?
it's in the States. And I guess
he has come to Toronto.
Yeah, he came to Toronto.
He does the multifamily.
Yes,
every May. So coming this May again, they'll be there.
But I'll tell you this: Bob Proctor, God bless him, the late great Bob Proctor. He said to us that you go wherever you have to go to get the education. You got to get on a damn plane. Go on to get on a damn plane. You know what I mean?
I'm going on the plane.
Do what you need to do.
That's what I'm doing. I came here on the plane to get your stories. One of the things I'm doing here. I agree.
Yes. And well, you're also creating an environment because of the event that you got coming up. We got coming up in May. We're inviting people to come down to learn how to invest in the Dominican Republic. So,
that's right.
So you're welcome.
Thank you. No, but I think it's a great opportunity. Our goal is not to just do it alone, but to motivate and inspire others and to help you along your journey. So May 23rd to the 30th, from Canada, US, wherever you're living, you can come down with us for that week, and we'll be hanging with you and many other experts here.
I'm bringing everybody that I've been meeting along my journey, the A team. They're going to be the ones doing the presenting on things that are available, things to look out for, because you have to learn from even the mistakes that we've made along the way. You know what I mean? So that you can make certain that you have an easier path through.
This is a done for you. So we're not we're not leaving you to figure it out. It's a done for you.
Yeah. So and people listen, and anybody who's coming, if you're already a homeowner, start working on those refis from now. Like this again.
And we've got experts.
That's
one of the things that we've aligned ourselves in Canada with, is experts to help do those refis. Come with money
ready.
Yes.
So that you can take advantage of the opportunities here, because there's plenty. So.
And how do people reach you or get in touch with you, Noel? Because you are on many social channels, so that they can be with us.
Yes, on my YouTube channel, Noel G. Walrond, WALROND, like this, and also to Instagram at Noel Walrond _. So I have two profiles on, the one with the underscore after the D, Noel Walrond, okay? Underscore after the D. Those are the two best ways. DM me or Facebook, Noel Walrond. I'm consistent.
Yes. So you've used you branded yourself.
And my LinkedIn, the same thing.
Yes.
So
Easy.
you can DM me on any of those platforms. We have upcoming courses. I'm getting ready to relaunch the seminars. I've taken some time off. It's actually been 2 years that I've taken off of doing the seminars and the training on how monetizing your passions or increasing your sales and taking things to the next level in your life. And so if that's something that you would like some help, I've been helping people for almost 12, 13 years formally. But I've been doing this for it's been decades. It's been almost a decade and a half. Oh my God, time goes.
Yes.
So I've been doing this for a minute, and a lot of I have students right now that I've been having conversations with over the last week who've retired themselves, and they're 35 years old, 32 years old,
That's
40
fantastic.
years old. So. Yeah, it's available and it's here and I'm here. So, come check me out. My dreams work. Let's go. Let's make it happen. My dreams work.
Awesome. Well, some of that stuff we'll include in the caption so that people have all of it and have access. But thank you.
Yes, and for the first set of people to, I guess, make a comment of what you got in this for the first three, we'll provide the digital version, audio version of my book. There is no tomorrow: The Ultimate Guide to Beating Procrastination.
I love that.
Some free gifts. Look at that.
So the first three. The first three to make comments on this specific video.
Yes.
YouTube will be eligible for your digital download?
I'll send it over to you. You can send it to them. I guess, and so they can get the audio version of the book.
I want a version of this. I didn't even know it existed. And I'm like, today I'm just discovering it. So yes, there is no tomorrow?
There is no tomorrow. The ultimate guide to beating procrastination.
We all need it.
Yes.
There's so many people out there that are procrastinators, right? But thank you, Noel, for letting me take this chance to share your story, as well as spend some time with you in the DR. I'm truly blessed. I already knew that you were a blessing from time. I just didn't know where you were in the world until 2 years ago when we bumped into each other again. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. That's a wrap.